Good morning, dear students. In today's session, I'm going to discuss with you about some of the important concepts that is related to data refresh in Power BI. Let us start the. Okay, what do you mean by data refresh? Data refresh in Power BI refers to the process of updating the data in Power BI reports and dashboard with the latest information from the underlying data source. Power BI allows the analyst to connect to various data sources such as database, files, online services, and more. And it enables the analyst to create visualization and report based on the data. However, data in the underlying data source is not automatically updated in Power BI visual in real time. To ensure that reports and dashboard reflect the most current data, the analyst need to refresh the data manually or set up an automated refresh schedule. When the analyst refreshes the data in Power BI, it retrieves the latest information from the connected data source and updates the data model, calculation, and visual in the reports and dashboard. This process involves querying the data source, transforming and aggregating the data, and loading it into Power BI data. Data refresh can be performed in two different ways. The first one is manual refresh. In Power BI desktop, the analyst can manually refresh the data by clicking the refresh button in the home tab. This updates the visual with the latest data at that moment. The next type of data refresh can be called as scheduled refresh. In the Power BI service online, the analyst can configure scheduled refresh to automatically refresh the data on a regular basis. The analyst can define the refresh frequency, example, daily, hourly, and set up credentials for accessing the data sources. So data refresh is crucial for keeping the reports and dashboards up to date and providing accurate insight. By ensuring that the data is refreshed regularly, the analyst can trust the information presented in Power BI, which reflects the current state of data source. Like some of the mechanism or working methodology of the refresh, Power BI refresh using the manual method. In Power BI, the refresh button in the home tab is used to manually refresh the data in Power BI reports and dashboards. By clicking the refresh button, the analyst can update the visual and data to reflect the latest changes from the underlying data sources. So what can be done for this? First of all, the analyst need to open the Power BI desktop and load the report or dashboard. Then he must navigate to the home tab in the ribbon. At the top of the application window, look for the refresh button in the toolbar. It typically appears as a circular arrow. Then click the refresh button to initiate the data refresh process. Power BI will start updating the data in the visual based on the configured data source. So this process may take some time depending on the size and complexity of your model. So once the data refresh is complete, the visual will reflect the updated data. It is very important to note that the availability and functionality of the refresh button can vary depending upon the Power BI set. If the analysts are working with the Power BI report or dashboard published to the Power BI service, the refresh button may have a different option and behavior. Additionally, the data source and the refresh schedule defined for the report can affect how data is refreshed. And let us discuss about scheduled refresh. Scheduled refresh is a key feature in Power BI that allows the analyst to automatically refresh the data in the reports and dashboard on a predefined schedule. It ensures that the data is regularly updated, keeping insights accurate and up to date. So what can be done? First of all, connect to data source. In Power BI desktop, establish connections to various data sources by importing data, connecting to the database, or using other available data connectors. Then the next step is configure data source. Set up the necessary credentials or authentication details to connect to your data sources securely. So Power BI requires a valid credential to access and refresh the data. So after doing this, the analyst can publish a report to Power BI service. Save and publish reports to the Power BI service. This allows the analyst to schedule the data refresh for the published report and dashboard. In the Power BI service, locate the data set associated with the report or dashboard that the analyst want to schedule for refresh. So he must navigate to the dataset settings for that specific dataset. Within the dataset settings, find the scheduled refresh section. Enable schedule refresh and specify the refresh frequency such as daily, weekly, or custom intervals. So you can also set the specific time for the refresh to occur. And finally, review the configured refresh settings and ensure that they align with the data source availability and requirement. Click apply or save to save the scheduled refresh settings. And then Power BI provides monitoring options to track the status and history of data refresh operations. So the analyst can view refresh history, check for any failures or warnings, and configure email notification for refresh related events. So this I'm ending today's session.